Attorney to the stars, Scott Sherman. Good morning.
How you doing, buddy?
Let's turn your microphone on. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Normally you come on here and you with quirky, interesting little lawsuits. Today you've got a lawsuit that's going on here in Missouri that's getting absolutely no attention.
Not until now. Now everybody will know about it. It's a Court of Appeals decision which affects every consumer potentially in the state of Missouri.
All right, what's going on?
All right. We're not going to bore everybody. This is really important. Insurance, car insurance. When you purchase car insurance, you have to buy it because
Right.
it's mandatory.
Right.
So you buy, I don't know, you have to buy $25,000 in case you run into somebody.
Right.
And then as part of that, you get what's called uninsured motorist in case somebody that doesn't have insurance runs into you and hurts you.
Right.
So what do you do if the person runs into you and they hurt you really bad and they have insurance, but they don't have enough to pay for the injuries that you have?
So, in other words, you run into me,
Right.
I sustain serious injuries, but you have a cap of, say,
I got
$25,000.
That's right.
And so my medical bills are in excess of $100,000.
You're all messed up.
So what happens?
So you would then, if you had purchased an optional insurance coverage called underinsured motorist coverage.
Okay.
We're going to give it an acronym, UIM.
Okay.
UIM, underinsured. So if McGraw purchased that from his insurance company, McGraw would think, I'm in really bad shape, but at least I got UIM.
So you hit me. You've only got 25.
That's right, and I give it to you. Here you go.
Here's the 25, but I still have $75,000 more in bills. Good thing I bought this underinsured policy.
That's what McGraw thinks, and that's what most consumers would think.
All right.
Not so fast, says the insurance company. Look at your policy, Mr. Millhaven. When it says underinsured, if you only have the same amount of underinsured as the person that hit you has liability coverage, we're not going to pay you.
So in
So
other
let's
words-
say I have 100.
Right.
Let's say I'm a responsible guy. In fact, this came up because I'm involved in a case now where the person was killed by someone who had $100,000 in liability coverage.
Okay.
And they said, here's the $100,000, and then the decedent's family says, we want our underinsured. They're saying not so fast. Along comes this case of Miller versus Ho Kun Yun. Let's call it Miller versus Ho. This is the case, Miller versus Ho. So is that in the survival
and where is
guide?
this case? This case is in Missouri.
Yes, Western District of Missouri.
Okay.
This case comes along, and the similar situation. Mr. Miller is really injured, kind of like the McGraw case.
Right.
$200,000 in bills. The Mr. Ho only $100,000. So the Ho's pay the Millers the $100,000, and the
Well, the
Millers.
insurance company pays
That's
the,
right.
the Millers, right?
The Ho's insurance company, American Family, pays the Millers $100,000, and the Millers say, "Oh, great! Just like McGraw, we're going to use our underinsured, our UIM." They said, "Not so fast. Read your policy. If it's equal, like rock, paper, scissors, McGraw has scissors, or the Millers have scissors and the Ho's have scissors, you can't use it." Here comes the Western District Court of Appeals last week. Not so fast, American Family.
Okay.
No way. This is the Miller's insurance company. You can't define underinsured or UIM as having the same or less. It's not fair. It's not fair to consumers. It's ambiguous. They don't know what they're purchasing. And if you pull out your declaration page, which everybody gets with their insurance card, if it says you have coverage for UIM on your declaration page, it's an ambiguity, therefore you have coverage. So for years, people have been told you can't use your UIM even though you thought you had UIM in the McGraw situation or the Miller situation where you're really injured by somebody that doesn't have enough money. Here comes the Court of Appeals, finally on the side of consumers. It has been going on for a long, long time.
I don't even know if I have this insurance.
Do you have your declaration?
I do not have
page,
my
Mr.
declaration
Milling?
with me.
If you have it, I have mine.
Yes.
And it is an optional coverage. You do not have to. They don't have to tell you about it. You don't have to buy it. But I have it. You know what it costs me for $100,000 worth of UIM a year?
How much?
$30.
$30 a year.
year.
Okay.
So you would think that I would be smart enough to figure this out, right, smarty pants lawyer? Well, have you ever read an insurance policy? You can't figure out what that language is. The courts can't figure out what the language is. But these insurance companies, for years, have been trying to write their policy language so they sell you something that they never pay on. Here we go. We're going to sell you UIM in case, like the McGraw situation, you're seriously injured, I run into you and don't have enough to cover your bills. But the way they've defined it, they've tried to define themselves out of coverage. And finally, this is a good thing for consumers.
Well, it's also goofy because if I'm buying insurance, my insurance is based on what the other person's insurance is?
It seems ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, you're supposed to be insuring yourself for the unexpected. The unexpected being, if I'm really hurt by someone who doesn't have enough coverage, I should be able to use that to cover my bills and cover my injuries. That's between me and my insurance company. You're basically rolling the dice. As a very cynical lawyer once said, your life is only as valuable as the insurance limits of the person that runs into you and kills you.
Right. That seems something wrong with that.
You know who that lawyer was?
Who?
It was me.
Oh.
I tell people this all the time. So not only let the buyer beware, let the buyer be notified from the McGraw in the Morning Show that this is a step in the right direction.
All right, so this Western court rules in the favor of this Miller family.
That's right.
Okay, so what happens now?
Probably this is going to the Missouri Supreme Court. See, the Missouri Supreme Court has played with these language policies of UIM coverage for the last decade or so. It's so bad that at one point people were buying $25,000 in UIM, which is the minimum limits, and they could never use it. It's like everybody has $25,000, so you would never have more UIM than anyone. Well, the legislature said, oh, yeah, that's a screw up. So in 1999, they said, well, that really doesn't mean 25, it means 50. So for the last 20 years, the Missouri Supreme Court and other courts of appeals have been scrutinizing these languages, trying to look for ambiguities in language nobody understands. The insurance companies don't understand it. The lawyers don't understand it. The judges don't understand it. You think the consumers understand it? Nobody understood it. But finally, here's a court. Yeah, it's in Kansas City. It's not here. That has finally stepped up for consumers and said, you should get what you pay for.
When is the first class action lawsuit going to come around suing insurance companies for taking my $30 a year and turning down all this coverage?
I can't believe there hasn't been one yet. You would think that somebody smart would have figured this out already.
Right.
I would love to find somebody to take this up. I'm not promoting that or trying to get clients for it, but it should be done because for decades, people have been buying this UIM coverage, this help me if somebody doesn't have enough to help to pay for my bills coverage, and the insurance company they buy it from has been sneaking language in, trying to make themselves not pay it.
Do we know if the insurance companies pay some in this underinsurance?
Oh, they do, but they'll say it's like rock, paper, scissors. If you have paper and I am rock, then you would cover me. But if you throw paper and I have paper, they'd say, well, that's not underinsured, even though your damages are way higher than.
So if you hit me and you've got $50,000 of this insurance,
right,
and I have $100,000 of this insurance, you hit me. Then since I'm more insured than you are, mine will kick in.
Yes, but the insurance companies have tried to do this over the years, too. And this went to the Supreme Court of Missouri in 2009. They want an offset. Okay, Mr. Milhaven, we know you have 100,000 UIM, but Sherman hit you and he's got 50. So 100 minus 50, we want a set off for what he paid you, even though your damages are more than 150. Not so fast, said the Missouri Supreme Court. They said in this Jones case in 2009, you can't do a set-off unless it's really clear and it's ambiguous. What they're telling the insurance companies is almost how to write the policies to screw people out of ever covering them on any of this UIM stuff.
As my lawyer,
yes,
would you recommend me calling up my insurance company and telling them to take off this UIM?
I would recommend sitting down with the insurance agent everybody, but mainly you, because you're a client, and I would say, I want to know what my UIM coverage is. I want to know what this means, and I want to know what the percentage is of people that carry certain amount of limits. I want the most UIM possible. It's only $30 a year for $100,000. I want $1 million. I want $500,000.
But if it's $500,000, then doesn't my premium then go up?
Get a quote and see. I'm buying $100,000. It's only $30. Maybe a $500,000 UIM is only $40.
Gotcha.
Or $45. And if they don't tell you straight up the situation, well, what if I have 100 and the person that hits me has 100 and I'm catastrophically injured? Will you cover me? You know what the answer is going to be? I don't know.
Right.
Because the agents don't know. The insurance companies don't know. But what they've tried to do is sneak into this paper, this language. It's written on tissue paper,
right,
words that no reasonable person understands. And finally, it took Kansas City, it's a shame it didn't happen here, but it was unanimous, 3-0, for a court of appeals to say consumers are getting baited and switched.
All right, let me ask you this question. I get into a car accident, similar situation.
Yep.
When does my health insurance kick in?
Oh, this is a whole different topic for a whole new show. If you're a Missouri resident and you buy your own health insurance,
right.
Well, I always recommend to people, always use your health insurance. Missouri, by public policy, prohibits the health insurer that you buy yourself from going after you for the bills they paid, even if you got in a car accident. But that's not the case if you are a plan member in a federal ERISA plan. The federal government and the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that if you are indeed an ERISA plan member, and most people in large employers are in an ERISA plan, the ERISA plan, what they call it a health plan, but the benefit plan, has the right to come after you for some of the money they pay for you. So if you're in Missouri and you buy your own health insurance, you don't have to pay anybody back. If you're in
I don't understand. Pay them back. I don't know what you mean.
They say, okay, you got $100,000 worth of bills. You buy your own insurance, or you're not in an ERISA plan.
Right.
And then you say, here's my insurance card. They pay all your bills, and then you get money from the person that hurt you.
Oh, I see.
They can't come after you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But the rule of thumb is
if I get money,
always,
the insurance company can then get some of that money for covering me.
They can't. Always, well, not in Missouri. Always,
right.
always use your health insurance first to pay the providers, because the providers are providing a service and they deserve that.
Boy, it's really convoluted.
Oh, one day we'll talk about MedPay. We should have this once every month.
We should do this next week. We'll talk about this next week.
It's like a beacon and eggs thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Scott Sherman. He is attorney to the stars, and he's my attorney. And you've instead of him charging $200, just send it to me.
Right. And like Andrew said, I have 10 more years to save up enough money to buy a Maserati now.
Yes, so
to date 20-year-old chicks.
So the 24-year-old hot chicks will return you your phone call.
That ended a long time ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Sherman here on the Big 550 KTRS and live online, KTRS TV, now in HD. John Beal Roofing, ladies and gentlemen, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. They're storm damage specialists. They're fully licensed on both sides of the river, roofing as well as tuck pointing, residential, commercial, industrial. Doesn't matter what type of roof you have. If you have an issue with your roof, look no further than John Beal Roofing. They solved my roofing problems. It was so hard, I couldn't find out what to do. John Beal Roofing came in, and in 35 seconds, they could figure out what was wrong, and they fixed it a couple days later. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.